So there you can see its wing. Look at that. Oh, this one. So I wonder if this will ever get restored, or has it come, you know, to its fate. And welcome back to a brand new video. So we're in the south side of Blackpool this morning because there's some huge news what has just been released by the Pleasure Beach Resort. So come and join me as I tell you exactly what's going on and what is new with the Pleasure Beach. So as we just have a bit of a walk alongside the actual Pleasure Beach itself, so there's a huge announcement what has come out. So the Blackpool Pleasure Beach is now making Sundays extra special for pet lovers. So if you have your own dog, you can now bring it to the Pleasure Beach. How about this? It's the first time apparently in its history you can actually bring pets inside the Pleasure Beach. How amazing is that? But there is certain stipulations. So they can't go on, obviously, like the rides and things like that. But they're opening the gates for the first time to your pets. So that is a really unusual one. And like I said, the Lancashire theme park says he wants to help ditch people, because a lot of people think, oh, I've got my pet, I can't go out today. So they're encouraging people to come along now on a Sunday, and you're able to bring, your animal, your furry little friend, your dog, to the Pleasure Beach. So, dog days, apparently, as they call them, allows people to get a dog pass. So apparently, the dog pass is an extra £10. So there's a bit of a drawback, But if you are wanting, to go to the Pleasure Beach, you pay an extra £10. So basically you can get your dog in. So while your dog won't be queuing up for the rides or enjoying that ice cream. Well, I guess dogs can have ice cream. I don't know if it's any good for them, I suppose in moderation, but they'll still be treated, apparently, according to the Pleasure Beach, as VIP guests. So that's extraordinary. And apparently there's going to be plenty of water, the class them as water stations, and unlimited treats as well. So imagine, they get sort of biscuits and bones, possibly, things like that. And apparently these will be dotted about all over the Pleasure Beach, so they won't be without water. But would your pet enjoy the Pleasure Beach, with all the noise and the atmosphere, the excitement, the crashing, the screaming? Would it scare them? Would they enjoy it? That's one for the owner, I suppose. I suppose each person knows their own pet. And so, according to the Pleasure Beach, he's saying the move is designed to make days more accessible for dog owners who might otherwise, be put off from visiting the Pleasure Beach. So, I wonder if they'll have pet sitting. What if they'll bring that one in? It's all right bringing your dog to the Pleasure Beach, but if you're a single person, you can't go on any rides because you got your dog. So I wonder if they'll end up introducing some sort of dog sitting there. That's an interesting one. That's a thought going forward. But yeah, so apparently Amanda Thomas, she's called, the CEO of the Pleasure Beach Resort, said that many of our guests see the dogs as part of the family, which, I totally agree. A lot of people do see the pet, as part of the family, which is, I wouldn't take anything from that statement away. And like I said, I suppose leaving him behind in the house, for a long time, if you're at the Pleasure Beach, is a long time possibly for your pet. So, like I said, dog-friendly Sundays means guests no longer have to choose between a great day out and leaving their dog at home. So like I say, it's an interesting one. Like I say, I think it's the first time ever this has been rolled out. And apparently the Pleasure Beach said people will be on hand to make sure the guests and both their dogs have a comfortable, enjoyable experience. And like I said, this new introduction of pet-friendly days launches from Sunday the 10th of August and will run throughout August. And apparently if it's a success, then it'll be extended throughout the rest of the year. So dog passes are available as an add-on, shall I say, from your standard ticket. So there is all information in the description if you do want to bring your dog along with you. And like I said, I believe it is £10 extra. So yeah, it is. I've just had a quick look at my phone. So it is an extra £10, so it can be added to your booking through like your e-ticket, or if you bought the ticket on the same day. So let me know, what do you think of pet-friendly Sundays at the Pleasure Beach? Is it something you possibly would go for? Is it something you agree with? It's a great idea, or is it, you're going to possibly traumatise the dog, with all the excitement and the rise and the scream and the bangs and the crashes? I suppose it depends on what breed of dog you've got. Like smaller dogs might get a little bit upset, with the crowds of people possibly weaving in and out. It's a funny one, that one. It's a funny one, but I guess at least they're opening it up, to animals. So, I suppose that's a good thing in a way. And all these units you can see in front of you, and they stretch all the way heading down towards Stargate. You can see there's an awful lot of them, and all these are going to be transferred into self-containing luxury apartments by the Pleasure Beach. So plans have been put in place to transform all these. So how amazing that'll be. Like I said, it will be part of the Pleasure Beach, so you can still use all the facilities, but all these, like I said, eventually will become self-contained apartments. So we just arrived at Bond Street car park. This is always an interesting one. So there's this little corner in the car park. It's like Aladdin's cave sometimes. You don't know what you're going to find. And there's all sorts of like old parts and pipes and all sorts of things from the Pleasure Beach and around this area. You see all the shipping containers you can see there. I'd imagine like there's probably sort of old parts and old pieces of ride. And you can just see, I don't think that's been there for a bit. In fact, there we go. Is that one of the old Spitfires? That Royal Air Force. So that's a new one. It's like they've probably upgraded that one. Look at that. Wow. Look at that, the old planes. That would have been on the Pleasure Beach, which we took earlier on. Amazing. And again, you see the old pipes. Like I said, things do get sort of left here, and you see they've fenced it all off now. Wow, so like I said, there's some certainly, like I said, Aladdin's cave. So there you can see it's wing. Look at that, part of this one. So I wonder if this will ever get restored, or has it come, to its fate. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. It's only a bit of a short video, but a bit of information. Like I said, if you fancy taking your dog to the Pleasure Beach, then now is the time, I guess. Like I said, first time I believe it's ever happened, and the trial period is throughout August. So we're just on Bond Street. Just going to close the video out on Bond Street, and this is like right at the other end. And there's a few old shops along this way, and apparently are going to rejuvenate, this area. I think it's like a 10-year plan, what I believe, which is fantastic. Like I said, they're going to be starting on, Central Drive, and around that area. And I guess they can't do everything at once. It comes down to money, and I suppose through There's all sorts of factors what you can factor in online shopping, as I mentioned so many times. Lack of investment, cheap holidays abroad. Look at that one. You see the board there, look at that. Looks like that one's open actually, but you can see there's no fashion. 145 bonds. You wonder what that used to be many years ago. The Bond Hotel Blackpool. Look at that one. Like I said, some fantastic properties, you know, along this area. And this is my favourite. Let's move the camera around again, because this one here is the Bentley's Fish and Chip. If you haven't tried that one out, it's certainly worth trying that one out. You won't be disappointed. In fact, I met a couple of people the other week when we was just ordering, myself and Jason, Daily Vlog Adventures, and they come here regular. Really is top notch, absolutely fantastic food, piping hot. I'm not going to go on about it, but try it for yourself. That's all I'm going to say. And you see all these literally car parks, you know, where the old buildings have burned down and ends up in a car park. There's some renovation work going on. Look at that, there's pipes and old toilets, all sorts of things like that. Look at that. So having a huge clear out the old doors. So it's great, you know, how people, you know, are taking a little time and, you know, getting the buildings back like there once was. So let's go down another alley. This is behind some of the hotels and also the shops. It looks really clean. So you can see the beach side. So, you know, it's one of those, you'll never walk down places like this in your life. It really is extraordinary. Morrissey House Hotel. So it's wonderful, you know, exploring parts of Blackpool. I mean, people walking down Waterloo Road, you know, Highfield Road, and all the main shops, the promenade, but will they ever come down places like this? I suppose they've got no need to, really, but it's fascinating. Just looking around. It looks like is it a bit of a dead end, this one? Or does it carry on round? I think, look how small this little alleyway is. Look at that. It's tiny. I don't think you'll be able to get a car around here. Wow. That's incredible. So you can see that one is locked up down there. So it's like they'll probably sort of open it for like sort of taking the bins out. But yeah, it's extraordinary. Like I said, just walking down some of these places. So I think that's the end of today's video. I hope you did enjoy a bit of a tour at the end. Like I said, around a few of these. It's very interesting, that building next to the church. Like I said, it's got the same brickwork. Maybe they just, when they designed it, they tried to just blend it in, you know, so it looks like an old building. Very interesting. That Nail and Beauty Bar. So, like I said, this just leads basically where my car is. Look at that one. That one's looks like that one's gone over there. A couple of little shops. That's unusual. Normally, like the beauty shops and things like that, they do you know, sort of a roaring trade. The Galleon Pioneer. And there we have South Pier straight ahead. So like I said, that is the end of today's video. Hope you did enjoy it. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification button, more importantly. Be notified of all the latest developments, and we'll be covering the air show, the punk festival, which is on this weekend. So there's plenty more going on, as well as, like I said, news stories and all sorts. So until next time, look after yourselves, take care, and I'll see you hopefully in the next video. Bye bye.